The basement of La Penta. This is WICR.
Hello, Iona College, and welcome back to Lights Out Sports. I'm your host, Rob Boncardo, and join with me today, Terrence. Terrence, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Rob.
You ready to talk some Monday Night Football?
Of course.
All right, let's get right back into it. So, last night, guys, the New York Jets defeated the Indianapolis Colts 20-7. New York Jets, the defense is phenomenal, and it's a proud day to be wearing green. The Jets now 2-0 to open up their season. Defense phenomenal. Ryan Fitzpatrick has looked so great as the quarterback for the New York Jets. Brandon Marshall is just ecstatic. The guy makes amazing catches. We see how much of the advantage is with his height. He's fast down the field. And this Jets team, be aware this year, they're going to win a lot of games.
I definitely got to agree with you, Rob, especially based off of yesterday's game with the Jets. They played great defense and great offense, and basically in that game, the Colts had no answer for Brandon Marshall the whole entire game. I mean, you saw the touchdown that he did when he had two defenders on him and he muscled his way for the touchdown.
Carried them to the end zone.
Exactly, like that was just great, and I'm just shocked based off of just being a Colts fan, just shocked off of what I'm seeing, especially with Andrew Luck. He's struggling. He had 3-4 turnovers yesterday.
He had 4 turnovers. Look at it, 3 picks, 1 fumble, and now we go into the season. Do the Colts have a lot to worry about? Because you know what, Andrew Luck, we have his struggles right now. This offseason, they get Frank Gore, they get Andre Johnson, kind of build up their wide receiving courts and running back, something that needed to be fixed. And now the offensive line's not there whatsoever. That's the big killer. Andrew Luck, we saw what the Jets and Bills have done the past 2 weeks. And you know what they've been doing 60% of the time is blitzing him. And the guy cannot handle the blitz whatsoever. They're making him run out of the pocket. He's getting hit hard. That's why he had the fumble yesterday. And once you throw Luck off his game, you mess him up the rest of the way down the year. But I mean, Andrew Luck, I'm very worried about right now. I don't know how this Colts team is going to survive. If that offensive line, if people are going to keep breaking into it, they're really in deep trouble. Especially
based on top of that too, you have you have Frank Gore. He's also struggling too. So which actually worries me. Being a Colts fan and everything. Mm-hmm. So I think the coaches, they need to get it together right now and get some offense going. And on top of that, they're not that great on defense too. Like they're terrible defensively. So that's another thing to worry about too.
And I mean, we look at the Colts yesterday too, Terrence. The biggest mistakes we saw. It's a close game going down the stretch. And we look at first half, Adam Vinatieri misses a 29-yard field goal to end the half. Big mistake. We look at Frank Gore fumbling by the goal line. Big miscues that could have kept them in this game. They only lost 20-7. And we look at if these miscues were fixed, we might have seen a real big ball game going down the stretch.
I definitely got to agree with you, Rob. But on top of that, I really got to give up the Jets this year because, they're really they've improved, since. And I'm looking at this game yesterday, and I'm questioning why Andrew Luck is gonna throw to Darrelle Revis' side. Revis is gonna shut down, whatever receiver's on him. So I don't know why he's gonna throw it to his side, which makes no sense at all.
And you know what? A lot of people, they downplayed Revis last year with New England. Oh, what he does with defense. Revis is a complete game changer. Once you can't throw to Revis' side whatsoever, it changes the whole offensive outlook for other teams. And then we're seeing now with the Jets, we're seeing linebackers, we're seeing the hits coming at hard right now. And they're a big team to really watch out for. Armand is back in studio right now. Armand, we're talking a little bit about the Jets-Colts last night. And I mean, do we have a lot to fear for Andrew Luck and the Colts?
I don't think it's a lot to fear. I just think that they've played. They played 2 really tough defenses, probably 2 of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, the Bills had a rough week against the Patriots this week, but they're an elite defense too. Mm-hmm. So Andrew Luck, I mean, they're playing the Titans in week 3. Mm-hmm. This team, they're gonna steamroll Tennessee.
Oh yeah, they will.
I mean, it's just that they have a lot of aged veterans. I mean, they made a lot of good moves, but you can't rely on players like Andre Johnson, Frank Gore, who've been in the league for 13 to 14 years. Yes, they bring that leadership, but they're not going to bring all the intangibles to help this team get to the next level at their old age. But New York Jets on the other side, I think that New York Jets, they have a shot to win this division legitimately. Mm-hmm. They spent the best money this offseason at any team.
I went through the schedule last night with my grandfather, and we look at it. The Jets could probably win 12 games hands down on that schedule. They could probably run 12-4, 11-5. But, I mean, looking down the stretch, we play the Eagles this coming week. a big game where I don't know if it's the game where the Jets might choke versus the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are off to a slow start, but I think they could come out and win it. But down the stretch, if the defense keeps playing the way it is, if Ryan Fitzpatrick stays as accurate as he's been...
I think that's the biggest point, Rob. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, most definitely. He's stepped it up. You know what? I look at it with the Bills. He struggled at times. But now you give him a steady offensive line, who great protection for him down the stretch, and then Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. So he has so many more options. Chris Ivory's a guy who breaks down the field, and that's what's so good for Fitzpatrick right now with this whole Jet situation. Great veteran quarterback, pretty decent, could throw the ball down the field, but you give him weapons and you'll see what he could do now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely the Jets... The only thing that could beat the Jets right now is themselves. If the Jets have those miscues at the quarterback position. But overall, this team, you can rely on this defense every week. I think going into Philadelphia, is it a game in Philadelphia or is it in MetLife?
It's in Philadelphia.
It's in Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a really big test for the Jets, because this game is the biggest game of the year for Philadelphia in my mind. They're 0-2. They go 0-3. They're in Chip Kelly's on the hot seat. Everything's going to go downhill.
We'll get onto that in segment 3 of the show today. Chip Kelly, oh man, I really feel bad for this.
Yeah, this is a huge test for the Jets going against an 0-2 Philadelphia team that had expectations to possibly make a Super Bowl. So this is going to be a big game for the Jets.
I mean, I see no reason why the Jets can't win, especially with the Eagles offense. Looking at it now, should they make adjustments for the Jets team? Obviously, Chip Kelly's not going to do that, but I see no reason why the Jets can't win, though. They're playing great defensively, great. And, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he stepped up yesterday, 22 for 34, 244 yards. He only threw one interception, which was, it's not that bad. He played great, is what I'm trying to say.
The key of this game, too, is if you notice the first 2 games for Philadelphia, DeMarco Murray's had minus rushing yards in both games. So, going against that Jet front 7, I can't imagine DeMarco Murray having a good game.
And you know what's one interesting thing I heard yesterday with the Jets while watching the game? Their defense is there's 9 first-round picks on that Jets defense, which is unheard of in the NFL. And that defense is amazing. We look at Screen. He comes from the Cleveland Browns. We look at Cromartie. We have Revis. We have everybody, and everybody can attack no matter what.
And you got the youngins like Calvin Pryor and Leonard Williams.
Calvin Pryor now playing his safety position where he should have been last year instead of being moved around, and we're seeing the hard hits. I really love what Todd Bowles does. This team is hard hitting. We saw what he did in Arizona. There's a reason why Arizona was so good over the last couple of years. The defense is phenomenal. And now looking down the stretch, you give him a quarterback and weapons, and you let him have his own defense. Look what he's going to do.
Definitely the front office made the right decision, letting go of the Rex Ryan tenure in MetLife. Bringing a guy in like Bowles, who knows how to orchestrate just as good as a defense as Rex Ryan did. I mean, this Jet team is going to be good for the next couple of years. It's just, what do you think is going to happen to Rob when Geno comes back down? Do you think that they're going to go back to Geno, or is it Ryan's for the ride?
That's the question. A lot of people are going to argue, Geno. Some people want Geno back, but I think you look at it. If Fitzpatrick's playing good the first 4 weeks, you don't pull him. You don't kill the momentum going forward with where the Jets are going to be heading. If you kill that momentum, you don't know where this Jets team can end up. I don't want Geno Smith starting whatsoever, because I just feel I've seen it in the past. When you remove a guy from his position, you demote him, and then you bring someone else in, it changes the whole dynamics with the team and everything. So I think going down, you stay with Fitzpatrick. Geno Smith had his time. He had his chances. I mean, he didn't have the weapons that Fitzpatrick has had. I'll give him that as my major defense, but the guy has not proved himself.
I have to say something, too. In the first 2 games, Ryan Fitzpatrick has... This offensive line this year is much greatly improved from last year. Geno Smith was always dropping back in the pocket. He looked like a duck running around with no head. You know what I mean? So definitely now, if Geno was to come back, I think he'd have more flexibility, more time to deliver better strikes to his receivers.
Yeah, and plus he could run also. That's another thing with Geno Smith. He could run with the ball. But I'm sticking with Fitz right now. I just think you have to stick with the veteran at this point in the season.
Absolutely. You had a great start.
Yeah, most definitely. So we just summed up to you guys about Monday Night Football, Jets, Colts. When we come back for segment 2, we will be covering our Sunday Night Football recap. All right? You guys have a nice day. We'll be right back after these breaks.
You're listening to WICR